Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to UNESCO World Audiovisual Heritage Day 2021 and greetings from my hometown, Vienna, Austria. It is a great honor for me to be invited to speak to you today, and I thank my esteemed colleagues at the National Film Archive of Japan for inviting me to participate in today's proceedings. My name is Michael Loebenstein. I am the director of the Austrian Film Museum and formerly worked as the director of the National Film and Sound Archive of Australia in Canberra, Australia. Today, however, I speak to you as Secretary General of FIAF, the International Federation of Film Archives. FIAF represents the international community of not-for-profit institutions dedicated to safeguarding and preserving the world's filmic heritage. FIAF is an association of 171 organizations in 79 countries, and our goal is to ensure ongoing access to our filmic heritage. Originally, this mission extended only to the preservation of film produced on analog film stock, from nitrate film to acetate film. However, in the last decades, and in response to the all-encompassing digitization of film production, film distribution, and film viewing, these boundaries between film archives and audiovisual archives have become less distinct. Regardless of the importance of film as an artistic medium, as a carrier format, and as a cultural artifact and historical technology, we have come to realize that digitization is an important means to ensure the long-term preservation of and ongoing access to our audiovisual history. And this is particularly important for audiovisual records, works of art, of entertainment, or historical documentary records produced and stored on magnetic tape. Because while original film and audio record formats, such as shellac or vinyl, will remain largely stable for the foreseeable future, all tape-based formats created in the 20th century are now obsolete. There is consensus among audiovisual archives internationally that we will not be able to support large-scale digitization of magnetic media in the very near future. Tape that is not digitized by 2025 will in most cases be lost forever. But why is that? Simply put, the ability to successfully replay and thereby digitize magnetic tapes depends on the interplay of equipment, human skill, and technologies. This once healthy ecosystem is collapsing due to the removal of tape from the marketplace as broadcasters have shifted to file-based workflows. This creates a deadline and a dilemma for those entrusted with the care of these precious historical records. Magnetic video and audio tape, from reel-to-reel tape to recent digital consumer formats such as DV-Cam, suffers from deterioration, which may impact any recording or even render it unplayable due to stickiness or decay. Analog video and audio tape, as well as early digital formats, will in a few years be effectively inaccessible due to the practical inability to maintain playback systems. Tape machines, for example, are not produced anymore, nor are spare parts. Last but not least, the last generation of fully experienced analog broadcast engineers will be retired. Unless we manage to ensure that their practical technical skills have been shared with a newer generation of digital engineers, their skill and knowledge will be lost forever. Either way, the commercial market will not fix our problem. It is up to all the stakeholders, cultural heritage institutions, producers and creatives, technology providers and governments alike, to ensure that we don't face a mass extinction event that overshadows even the loss of silent films we experienced so tragically in the 20th century. But why, you can ask, do we as film archives or film museums even care? Isn't this only the domain of television and radio broadcast archives? No, it isn't. Film exists in many different manifestations. Filmmakers and content creators have always embraced the most convenient or the most available technology to tell their stories or to communicate their work to the public. This includes using video technology to produce their work, or to show it to their audiences. Let me give you two recent examples from my own institution, the Austrian Film Museum. Independent film artist Gustav Deutsch's first documentary film was shot in 1976 on the then new Type C reel-to-reel video format. While all of Gustav Deutsch's Super 8, 16mm and 35mm film work has been preserved, this tape was, so to speak, an orphan, until we managed to find the last machine and engineer on the market in the remote north of the Netherlands to play back the moldy, stretched and sticky tape for the very last time. The film is now preserved in our digital film collection. Another example is Frauen leben frauenlos, an important documentary shot in 1931 on 16mm film and depicting the hard life of women laborers in industrial jobs in Austria. The film used to be shown until the 1980s, when it was transferred from film to Sony U-matic tape for use in schools. The original film reel was lost. When the U-matic format became obsolete, a technician in the labor union copied it to VHS tape and the U-matic tape was thrown away. So all that is left of this important and unique record is one VHS tape. These are not singular stories. Film works, in particular of independent artists, and important historical records produced by individuals or not-for-profit organizations continue to live on magnetic tape in private homes, community organizations, university and school libraries, institutional archives. Their preservation is one of the most pressing goals of our times. In 2015, while I served as the director of the National Film and Sound Archive of Australia, we launched an ambitious initiative to alert the public, the industry and the government to this issue. Deadline 2025 warned that at the current rates of investment in digitization, only about 30% of magnetic tape can be saved, meaning tens of thousands of hours will be lost to future generations when tape becomes obsolete in 2025. Our discussion paper was a call that considerable resources are required to ensure all surviving tape-based media is digitized and managed for long-term digital storage and access. The initiative called for an investment of 10 million Australian dollars over 10 years. Our proposed course of action was based on a joint approach across government and the private sector, extending digitization activities to other relevant collections at risk to ensure that the economies of scale that can be achieved in large projects are actually realized. I was happy to learn last year that 5 years after the launch of our initiative, the Australian government awarded the Film and Sound Archive a $5.5 million grant to undertake this ambitious digitization program and to serve as an excellence center to assist other, smaller organizations with digitization of at-risk audiovisual material. Over the next years, this will facilitate the creation of a hub for the digitization of audiovisual heritage across the country, a national center for excellence in audiovisual digitization. While this is a positive development, we must realize that other national governments have already implemented even larger rescue missions. I refer you, for example, to the Netherlands with their 7-year, €115 million initiative Images for the Future, where 90,000 hours of video, 20,000 hours of film and more than 100,000 hours of recorded sound were digitized. Public access has increased dramatically, and the project encouraged the educational, creative and commercial reuse of the content, a cultural and financial outcome for both the archives and their sponsors and partners. I am excited to see that collaboration across sectors, from public collecting institutions and records authorities to community organizations and the private sector, can potentially help us safeguard and preserve the diversity of artistic expression and historical documents captured and stored on magnetic tape. The last 5 years have seen a closer cooperation of audiovisual archives of all sorts under the banner of CCAA, the Coordinating Council of Audiovisual Archives Associations, a global network of 8 international peak bodies and professional associations dealing with audiovisual heritage and archives. This also includes the Magnetic Tape Alert survey to track and document the magnetic tape holdings kept in small academic or cultural institutions or in private hands. However, as the deadline 2025 approaches and the digital divide increases between those who have digitization resources and sustainable digital long-term preservation infrastructure and organizations that don't, we need to continue to press for public awareness. Like all of the other big challenges of our days, this looming crisis will not just go away until we do something about it. Thank you very much for your attention and for your patience.